Hello and welcome to Orion Spear Point. So, today has been an absolutely gorgeous day and a beautiful, beautiful sunset. So, I got to spend some time today with the land and the sun. And me. And it's a gorgeous day. It is actually evening for me. I'll be posting this in the morning, but this is going to be a little bit of a different video, and I'm kind of excited. So we'll see how this goes. So this one is going to be more of a shared space video between the masculine and the feminine. So this can be felt between your internal masculine and feminine, or the collectives between men and women, or between the sun and the earth, if you really feel that reflection, or between the counterparts, as they're most often called, or the twin flames, or I like to say that love between two. So, with that, we're gonna jump in. It's gonna be a kind of a thousand yard kind of view because this has to do with, and I felt this come in a couple of times, and it's kind of like the dance between the two. So, and what's currently going on. Because I felt it a couple of times, and this has continued for a while. So I made the video a while back about divine love making landfall and how that felt to me. And what I was being shown was almost like this wave from divine itself. And it was going through everything, but it was activating so much. One of the things that was very interesting to see was this kind of like this activation between masculine and feminine. So this was hitting that part, that part between men and women, internally and externally. And it was opening up these channels. And it was kind of like this, yeah, this wave that was just rushing in. And it was very interesting to watch because I wasn't witnessing it within my own system. It was literally hitting everything, everywhere. Now, one of the things that I thought was interesting was that with this, as the feminine drops in more and more into the earth, becomes the reflection of the earth, right? This is what I was being shown was this kind of like this union with the soil, the land itself. And that was almost a reflection point of the earth itself. And this kind of like union between um land and feminine was just kind of like it was being held in such a way. What was really interesting is that when she kind of was seated in that spot in land itself, and that the flower almost blossomed and kind of unfurled, the nectar that went out was activating the masculine. And this is the fun part because it's almost like this drawing in is probably a good word. Um, what's another word? Drawing in, yeah. Pulled, vortex, um, gravitational pull. There's a lot of those where it did kind of feel like that. And it was very interesting because from what I saw, it was not the feminine doing that was not in order to achieve this. That wasn't in her goal. That wasn't in the focus. It was literally a byproduct of doing it. And so, and it was interesting to see it reflected in the natural world because one of the things that was very keen was like the bees, right? The bees, the flower would open up and the bees would go to the nectar. Um, how it felt to me was literally, I've talked about this before, the surrendered pursuit in the masculine. how it appeared was literally like a gravitational pull, like your soul essence was like pulling you towards it. Now, just in my last video, like with the divine masculine initiation, this is where things can kind of get the internal mechanisms of all this have to be really looked at in each and every one. Like one of them was the kill command, right? Because that was very key, because that would be the reflection of when the feminine shines, and you have to find the kill command. You have to find a kill command within yourself as well, because that can happen. But one of the things that I thought was interesting is that, yeah, like it won't be done for you. Like you can feel where your um, directional compass is being like navigationally pulled. Now it's your choice whether to walk through it. And you have to get all yourself back within your own self. And then actually, like, choose with all of your being whether you want to go down that or not with your own self love, right? Within your love of your own self, then you can all sit down and look at it and see if it's the right way to go. If your true soul essence is pointing you that way, it's in union with that. And how I was seeing it basically was that as this happens, it's kind of like this beautiful dance, because when the feminine drops in, the masculine's energy almost gets directed towards it. And then it's his walking towards it. So this is currently happening. And it's very beautiful to watch, because what's happening in the collectives is very like I acknowledge that this will take time to roll out. Masculine and feminine, there is going to be a little bit of a rollout process to branch into the physical. There's lots of different things that have to kind of like occur, but you're of the earth. So follow your guidance, go through this. And then as a masculine, like some of the advice for the masculine is just listen to your heart and really, really get in your body, because that's ultimately where the driving force is. That's where the directional point is first. Then it gets pointed, and then you got kind of like watch as it unfolds. Because your directional point, I feel like, is almost going into the planet, but in an energetic sense, you're walking out of the caves. So it's um, kind of like a paradox in some ways, because on one level, you're going into the earth, and on another level, you're coming out of the caves that were within the earth. So it's this beautiful dance between the two. Like you're doing both at the same time, right? But you're kind of watching it as you can do this and watch it kind of unfold, because it's like this, whatever this activation is, it's kind of stirring the cells within the system. And then also the blood is pumping towards that shared space. The shared space shared by two, like that space has always been held basically by the love between two. Always has. So seeing it, it's kind of like there's new life within it. There's new fertilization. There's new flowers. There's rivers running fluid. It's lush. It's Eden, right? So this place is like a calling, basically. And it feels like the two are kind of entering. Or like, actually, let me catch myself here. When the feminine drops in, she kind of like blossoms, and then the doors kind of open. So then the masculine now can enter, which is beautiful, actually. Just saying that, because like you can see it reflected in so many different avenues of life, basically. Like between like just how masculine and feminine work, the pursuer, the receiver, like everything. It's kind of beautifully mirrored on a lot of that different aspects. Here's the thing that I kept coming up again and again was that the feminine dropping in was kind of like she was opening to love itself. And then the land around her was kind of like activating. It was kind of like almost a pulsing beacon that kind of like was illuminating, and how it appeared to me was almost like a gravitational force that was immense. And the masculine that can see that, that gets pulled to that, because it is a frequency that only can be matched. It's so great and so powerful that like you can feel how it occurred to me is like the masculine system, whatever he was in, basically. Because I saw like a couple different things within the masculine system, like whatever was kind of like however much sand was on top of him. Like it was kind of funny because how it felt to me was like half of his body was being pulled this way and like his head was kind of like over here. And it was like this stretch that was occurring. And it was just like, ooh, and that rubber band effect, just like, and the tension builds. But the intention is like internal, where you see it. And it's really fun to watch it because then the system has to kind of like reorient itself and kind of come to terms with some things, because how it felt was like gears turning where they were for a long time, like they barely moved. And then now, because that tension, like the mechanism's starting to turn and almost chew up something, like chew up energy, chew up density, something like that. Right. But then it was kind of interesting to watch this kind of unfold because it was this kind of like integration in a way that really was starting to activate and kind of stir the system awake, basically. Not to say the guys aren't awake, because they always are. Like, that's in whatever level, basically. There's a presence of being that is always there. Um, no matter how what they're wrapped up in. I want to make that state clear. Because that's been my experience. And it's been absolutely amazing. So it's like the integration with self, but it's also the call of home. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's the call of home, basically, because you can't make that walk. Like the road won't be laid out. You'll feel the pull and the tension. I actually feel like that's what's happening. Like between the two, like the tension will build, the system starts to actually, the gears start to turn, the mechanism starts to build after the tension, because the tension is going to continue to build until that ice is broken up so the gears actually can turn more fluidly. Then you won't, you'll continuously feel that almost, yeah, that pull, and the roadblocks won't be laid out in front of you until the activation within is kind of running. So that self-love, that internal activation, actually, I think that's the key, the self-love, because you're going to have to work through all this stuff in your own time, like for the masculine. And then that self-love will come in, and then the roadblocks will be the yellow bit road will be kind of like unveiled so that you can actually walk it, but you can't walk it before then. But at the same time, like every avenue is kind of being closed off for you, right? Because this internal tension is just going to build, but it's actually knocking off all the ice to kind of like activate the system. Now, for the feminine and a lot of this, what's actually kind of happening is like this. Wow, I never saw that before. Was the actual gravitational pull of the land itself, of Mother Earth, right? To drop in there. Whoa. Yeah, be that grid point and that reflection point of Earth. Whoa. That feels really powerful. So that's the gravitational pull from the feminine. And there's also all the activation that has to come in, that has to happen before you can do that too, right? All the internal mechanisms that have to be worked through, all the internal activations and integrations and initiations. Try saying that 5 times fast with the feminine system to kind of like line up and harmonize the system so it starts buzzing, and then also being allowed to kind of drop in deeper and deeper, because it is through the, yeah, it is through the feminine line. So it's like opening up in the face of danger and working on the self-protective mechanisms to kind of weather that storm and continue to open, because that's what divine is asking. Like divine is kind of pushing on that to unfurl, because it's actually you being opened, not that you being right in your full essence and just opened like the flower, right? And then anything that comes into your field will have to exit, because your system is running and operating in such a way that whatever enters is only supposed to be what's supposed to be. So there's no longer that kind of knee-jerk reaction to cut it off or like protect it, because inherently you're protective because your own energy is so pure. So anything that comes in, if it's not aligned, will go out very quickly, or it won't even be able to enter your space. But you're actually transmuting and refining and co-creating reality itself. But you're exiting the current stream and like being that of that true reality. So when you exit from the masculine system, like the tether between the two starts to go, and then the system has to adjust. And all the things that, oh, that's beautiful. All the stuff that's locked up within the masculine, within the current reality, starts to get worked on. And then all the stuff that he's carrying and the anchor point of the reality that he is starts to be worked on and unleashed. Wow. I didn't expect it to see it like that. That's actually incredible. So it's actually like this is more important than ever, because like it actually changes reality simply by being. But wow, I never saw it like that before. And feeling that, whoa, that's a big global change. That can change a lot very, very quickly. Wow. So the co-creations of reality itself. Whew. Okay, that's hitting me pretty deep, because it's like an masculine unleashing all that's within his system, because that's the only way he can walk down that road that he's being pulled through, because the feminine's like in the land itself. This is so fun. Then he has to unleash all the stuff that prevents him from doing that, which is some of the anchor points for the current reality we have. Well, yeah, through eons, through the ancestral lines. I mean, this is a lot. I mean, it could be a lot of energy. So I will give like some space for that. And also, like, I don't have a linear time on this, but I can feel it's already hit, because it's like it's been hitting. Let me rephrase that. It's been hitting for a while. So this is like the activation that's continuing and continuing. Wow. And then just seeing that dance between masculine and feminine in the shared space, reflected in the physical. Wow. Because when that happens, then you can actually see the gears turning. You can see the gears turning in reality itself, like the gears actually turn in the grid work. And then the pulse starts to come in a little bit more fluidly. It's like the beating heart. Yeah. Ooh. And accepting the call. Wow. So it's the divine love wave that comes in, the activation and the gravitational pull for the feminine to drop in deeper into the land. And then by doing that, it's the gravitational pull of the feminine that like pulls the masculine into the land itself to get like actually connected deeper to the true essence of your own self. Because that happens first. Actually, that's what's coming to me first, is like the masculine walking into the earth, into the deepest part, to get kind of like reestablished, and that connection point of undoubtable stability in the pure energy of the core of the planet, with union of your soul then coming up and continuing and following. Wow. Okay. Ooh, that feels really, really good. Um, I'm going to listen to that back because I don't know entirely of the specifics of all of that, but it felt really, really good. That was kind of a ride. So, yeah, this might be coming in more and more. So, the shared space message, which feels good. But with that, Connor, I give you a lot of love and I give you a lot of love. Thank you for coming, for listening. Yeah. And dancing and the co creation with all of us. Thank you for being. And with that, I say, shine bright. Take care.